Hello there, and welcome back to part 5 of the history of the Werneth incline. Continuing our journey to Oldham Werneth Station along the Middleton Junction and Oldham Branch Railway. Starting today at Broadway, the A663, we're going to take the route of the line of the Werneth incline. Past the Red Barn, where Maria Martin still wanders the balconies, and St Luke's, the largest church in Chedderton. So let's start at Crossley Bridge. Overlooking Crossley Fields, the former site of George Stephenson's masterpiece, and one of the steepest stretches of line regularly used by passenger traffic in the country. Crossley Bridge was 2 Accrington brick abutments, supporting a riveted steel deck, with decorative Accrington brick parapets. Accrington bricks are iron-hard engineering bricks produced in Hawthorn near Accrington, Lancashire. Since 1887, they have been famed for their strength. They were used in the foundations of Blackpool Tower and the Empire State Building. The walls of Crossley Bridge were all but demolished during safety measures on all arterial routes following the Selby rail crash in February 2001. The A663 bridge was included in national measures to replace less robust boundaries, and the walls were replaced by triple beam box barriers, usually found around bridge piers. The total decommissioning of the bridge for Lydia Becker Way has erased all evidence that the bridge ever existed. But let us leave such things behind us. Just like this crab locomotive, number 42710, in 1955. I have taken the liberty of colouring many of these images. Let me know what you think in the comments. A few feet higher, we see Black 5 44736 in 1953, with St Luke's Church seen on the right of the image. Soon after this image was taken, a major fire devastated the church, destroying its roof. Completed in 1888, the church was designed to hold 500 worshippers, making it the largest church in Chedderton. By September 2008, attendance had dwindled to a maximum of only 30. This, coupled with the high maintenance costs, resulted in the decision to close the church. St Luke's is seen here again, behind Black 5's 45105 and 45319 on the 1st of May 1960, which means, looking at the spoil in the foreground, we have reached Stockfield Colliery. Opened in 1865, the winding engines for Stockfield Colliery, with their 26-inch cylinders and 5-foot stroke, were located in what is now the local residence car park for the flats. The flexible electrical wiring and cables for the mines were supplied by Walter T. Glover and Company Limited, who will feature in a future video. Although the mine closed on the 29th of October 1914, the spoil tips and slag heaps are clearly visible in most photos of the area, and they were used to make the mounds that are currently the Crossley playing fields and football pitches. You will notice this building in many of the photos of the incline. It is the Crown Public House, known locally as the Sump Hole in Cow Hill. A sump hole is the lowest point of a mine shaft into which water is drained. In order for it to be pumped out, or most likely in this case, sent into the Red Barn Drain and Wince Brook, seen in Part 4. The area of Cow Hill once had several public houses, but now only 2 remain. The Dog Inn, first licensed in 1750, and the Crown, that dates back to the early 1870s. In 1819, the Dog Inn was one of Chadderton's 2 meeting places for a contingency of workers who marched to Manchester for the ill-fated political demonstration that came to be known as the Peterloo Massacre. John Ashton of Cow Hill was one of the 15 who lost his life on that fateful day. Back to more recent events, and we find Stanier 8F 48546 still stuck in the snow. On the 5th of January 1963, the last day of service, a brake van special rail tour was organised to climb the Werneth incline. The tour, organised by the Locomotive Club of Great Britain, departed Middleton Junction at 10:30 a.m. She was allocated 14 minutes to reach Werneth, but a bitter winter and heavy frost resulted in her slipping on icy rails, and she failed to achieve her goal by only 100 yards. Climbing the hill to get a better view of our engine, or heading to the sump hole to get out of the cold, we reach what is, or was, Wall Street Bridge. Looking back from the other side of the bridge, we witness our 8F still struggling on a frozen January morning. Unfortunately, yes, I know that the photo match-up is slightly wonky on this one, but the heavy undergrowth and a very inconsiderate placement of a wall did cause me some issues. Below the bridge was Stock Lane, the embankment walls still visible after all these years. Across Stock Lane, another historic wall, the remains of the forged cotton mill. This a clue to tell us that we are entering Hertford Ironworks territory. Stock Lane met up with Stockfield Road in the area named after Stock Brook upon which it is built. On the 22nd of April 1907, the Wall Street Bridge became the location of a railway incident that became known as the Cow Hill accident. It involved a dozen privately owned wagons drawn by Platt Brothers locomotives. The siding along which the train was running descended steeply towards the buffers adjacent to Wall Street. Running out of control, the train continued through the stop block, and wagon after wagon crashed into the street below. Before we leave Cow Hill, let's look at this shot taken from what is now Crossley Housing Estate. The railway is just visible behind the Garforth stone wall. Beyond the line you can see the many different designs of textile mills, including the Kent, the Manor, the Hawthorn, and the Osborne mills, just to name a few. This aerial shot, looking back at all we have covered in this series so far, beginning with Chadderton Goods Yard here, Johnny Whitehead's Bridge, Crossley Bridge, St Luke's Church, the Sump Hole, and this is the Hertford Mill, which will be heavily featured in the next few minutes. This shot shows the sidings involved in the Cow Hill accident, with the pub behind. and what appears to be a football pitch in front of them. This is the Sun Mill, and the simply named textile mill that's next to it. Chadderton Town Hall is here, disappearing off the shot bottom left. Climbing away from Wall Street now, and another grassy patch. Ending in a concrete garage wall. The other side of the garages now, and this part gets far more rugged. The railway, of course, was at higher point, still climbing the incline as it crossed Lansdowne Road, and into the area known as Alder Route. Over to Morris Brook 50's video now, for a far less overgrown view of the former bridge location from 1991. Back to me now, and I have managed to find another bracken-filled nightmare. Things do seem so much easier back in 90s, eh, Morris? I'm giving up on that path. So here's some lovely ashlars that used to be the foundations of Hertford Ironworks, still doing their job, as they are now holding up the local tip. Well into Ironworks country now, and we're going to visit the local mill to the south, which is the Hertford. Seen here, centre screen, with the junction at Alder Route above it, which signed the death warrant for the Middleton Junction and Oldham Branch Railway, as it provided a flatter route between Oldham and Manchester via Hollingwood, which was, of course, the Oldham Loop. Oldham Werneth Station and its magnificent tunnels can be seen just beyond the junction. Designed by Frederick Whittaker Dixon, the Hertford Mill was constructed in 1907. The engine was one of the largest locally, being a 1,800 horsepower twin tandem compound engine built by Urmson and Thompson, reputedly the only one of its configuration ever built by the firm. The engine house was lined with superb Art Nouveau glazed tiles. It ceased cotton spinning in the 1950s. In 1991, Littlewoods vacated the building, and it has been unoccupied ever since. It was granted a Grade 2 listing in March 1993, but a significant fire damaged it in 2014, and it has been slowly deteriorating and neglect has left it derelict. Demolition started in February 2020, and it is currently an ongoing project that will take several years, as developers are trying to reclaim as much of the building as possible. Well, we've finally made it, the final stretch of the werneth incline. As the Hertford Clock Tower homes into view, and our plucky 8F finally crests the summit of the 1 in 27 gradient. The track levels out, and she troughs triumphantly into Werneth Station, closely followed by her backing engine. A War Department austerity, 90656, was sent to bank her the rest of the way to Werneth. I will be covering the vast Platte Empire and Werneth at a later date. So let's end today's journey with another tale from Mr. Malcolm Taylor, our friendly signalman from Middleton West Box. In all signal boxes, you had a few white signal levers, which did nothing, and they were spare. When the Werneth branch line to Oldham was open, we got a new porter on the platform one day. The station master told him to ask me if he could come into the signal box to see how I got the trains away, and I said, "Yes, come on up. I'm just getting the Oldham train away." Then I started pumping one of the white signal levers. "What's that for?" he asked. "Oh, you know, when the train gets to the tunnel at Werneth," I said. "Where do you think all the smoke goes from the engine, so it will not choke the passengers?" "I don't know," he replied. I said, "At the end of this lever is a pump, and when I pull it, it pumps all the air out the tunnel." "Does it?" he says, fascinated. "I'll tell you what," I said. "When I'm on duty, when you see the train off, come up and you can do the pumping for me. It will start you off learning how to be a signalman." I had this poor guy running into the signal box for months. Got to see our passengers don't breathe any smoke in, haven't I? Cruel I am. Thank you, Signalman Malcolm Taylor, for another tale from your very interesting career. If any of you have any stories from the railways you'd like to share, please contact us here at Steam Chasers. Details are below. Also, any mill stories or any personal local history you'd like to share. It is all very welcome. We're not just the railway channel anymore. Thanks for watching, and please like, comment and subscribe. And please do continue to share these videos. I'm always amazed when Oldhamers message me from Australia and South Africa. Ta-ra now.